It's the battle of the attorneys general, Matt Gaetz versus Merrick Garland. We have clips putting them together. Welcome to Doug TeNapel channel. This is where all the happy patriots are in exile. As we're trying to get Trump's nominees through. That's the big battle now. Guys, it's great that Trump won the presidency, but you're really stripping him of all his muscle and all of his energy if you don't give him his appointments and you leave him in with a corrupt state to do what they want with him. That's why we're trying to push through his team. Here's, just to give you a refresher, Matt Gaetz versus Merrick Garland.
Told us that it's a dangerous conspiracy theory to allege that the Department of Justice is communicating with these state and local prosecutions against Trump. You can clear it all up for us right now. Will the Department of Justice provide to the committee all documents, all correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fani Willis's office and Letitia James's office?
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
So Matt Gaetz wants clarity. Merrick Garland wants to cover it up. That's the two paths we have. Now, you have a whole lot of Republicans, politicians, and media over at Fox, including Trey Gowdy, which we're about to get to, that are trying to gun Matt Gaetz down, going, he's not professional. If he doesn't have enough experience, he can't be the attorney general. He's too scary. But this is Trump's pick, and Trump's here to do a reformation, to clean up the government. And the Republicans that are calcified do not want him to touch it. Now, here's Molly Hemingway beating the daylights out of Trey Gowdy with argument, because he is, I don't know what he is, but whatever it is, there's Republicans that do not want Matt Gaetz to clean up anything.
Right. Matt Gaetz was nominated for this position because we have a problem at the Department of Justice. For the last 8 years, they have run roughshod over rule of law in this country. They have prosecuted political opponents. They ran the Russia collusion hoax.
That's Molly Hemingway. She writes for The Federalist, and she's a teacher over at Hillsdale College in their journalism department. And she's hammering back on Trey Gowdy, saying Matt Gaetz actually has an established record of going after corruption. He was one of the few people that actually were fighting for the truth. Because he's a fighter. See, he's one of the few that went out and fought for Brett Kavanaugh to get him on the Supreme Court when everyone else was trying to throw him under the bus. They sicked a bulldog like Matt Gaetz on his opponents that were trying to tear him apart. And then now they feel like their manners or they're too high society to be brought down to a bulldog like Matt Gaetz.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own decisions.
The question is whether you communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
If you make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
But see, here's the thing. You come in here and you lodge this attack that it's a conspiracy theory, that there is coordinated lawfare against Trump. And then when we say, fine, just give us the documents, give us the correspondence, and then if it's a conspiracy theory, that will be evident. But when you say, well, we'll take your request, and then we'll sort of work it through the DOJ's accommodation process, then you're actually advancing the very dangerous conspiracy theory that you're concerned about.
Merrick Garland is actually creating the conspiracy because of his reluctance to cooperate with Matt Gaetz in this internal investigation. He would not turn over papers that probably would have exposed like communication between Fani Willis and the Department of Justice or the White House on their collusion to get rid of Trump, to get Trump off the ballot. That's what he was getting at. And they don't want him to expose it because he's actually a really good whistleblower.
And too many people in Washington, D.C. did not stand up against what was happening there. And many Americans are upset about it. Matt Gaetz is one of the most effective people at fighting that Russia collusion hoax and other information operations, whether it was the Brett Kavanaugh information operation, the Donald Trump Russia collusion hoax information operation, or the one that is referenced here, which is something that the FBI and Department of Justice, which hate Matt Gaetz, looked into and cleared him of any wrongdoing.
That last one is about this new sexual scandal they're trying to start on him, which is largely false. There's been no proof. There's been nothing. They tried opening it up. They had to shut it down because they ended up saying there was no evidence. And now, of course, mainstream media is going to run with it because they think you're stupid. They think that you forgot that they said that the border was closed. They think that you forgot that they said that Biden is perfectly healthy, even when he's replaced by Kamala Kamala Harris, he's still perfectly healthy, though he had to be replaced. Remember, those same people are after Matt Gaetz, saying that he went after a 17-year-old girl somewhere. Now, he's a fighter. That's why he was against Kavanaugh. That's why he fought on behalf of Kavanaugh. And he went out and picked a fight defending Trump against the Russia. Every allegation you can find, Matt Gaetz fighting. Now, that's why Trump wants him. His style is fighting, and it is time for a fight. This is one of the rare places. And there's a bunch of Republicans. Remember, the powdered wig, beauty mark, fruity, Victorian, manners, David French Republicans, Trey Gowdy with the Michael Jackson nose and the poof hair, perfectly saying, we can't deal with fighters like Matt Gaetz. His manners aren't nice enough, fiddle-dee-dee, and a tiger for me.
The idea that this is about the issue is corruption. It's the Department of Justice's corruption. And people are sick and tired of people in Washington, D.C. doing nothing as these people try to destroy the country and getting upset at someone who actually might root out the corruption there. We don't have a Department of Justice. We have a Department of Injustice. And that's why you get Matt Gaetz as a nominee.
Yeah, beat that into their heads, Molly. Thank you for that. This is about the people trying to defend the system, which is Merrick Garland, hiding behind their rules and behaviors. And a fighter like Matt Gaetz, if you cannot straighten anything out, you can't remove the corruption that almost got Trump thrown in jail, unless you have a fighter like Matt Gaetz in there.
Like, shouldn't someone be owed like a jury of their peers and a judge that's non-biased rather than getting a judge from your political opponent's donor file?
I'm well aware that you're not asking a hypothetical. You're asking me to comment on a jury verdict in another jurisdiction which has to be respected. I won't comment on it. That case is still ongoing. The defendant
Mr. Attorney General, I hadn't asked you about the verdict yet. We were getting there. I was talking about the judge.
That's Matt Gaetz, who just trapped Merrick Garland brilliantly into admitting that he was talking about, Matt Gaetz just hypothetically was described Juan Merchan, and it was actually Merrick Garland who put the two together and goes, I can't comment on that ongoing case. And he's going, I didn't mention the case. You just did, though. He got him. I'm Doug in Exile.